Welcome to the Aquarian Shaman broadcast. I'm Star Wolf, your shamanic host, and I'm here to teach you how to transform yourself and transform the world. Twice a month, we'll be exploring how to develop shamanic psycho-spiritual practices to support transformation while expanding your energy field in a way that can also support others. Each episode offers dynamic experiential guidance and teachings on how to safely enter a natural altered state of consciousness using the sacred breath. Additionally, we will discuss the importance of integration and grounding this medicine into your everyday life. Stay tuned. We're about to create authentic, embodied change that will surely grow corn for the future generation. Welcome, everyone. And I really want this to be a powerful transformational experience for you, not just a podcast, but a true experiential journey. And to discover your own shaman within, your own Aquarian shaman, especially for these times. So since we're entering into ceremony, I want to invite you to imagine, because imagination is real, that you can smell the smoke coming from this sage, and that you can feel the breeze of this powerful wing, this turkey wing, bringing the smoke to you. And in the different traditions that I have studied in, different beings and creatures and stones and things mean many different things to many different people. It's a very individual as well as a collective experience. But the smoke is pretty, I guess you could say, universal. Whether it's smoking the pipe, burning different herbs, and then fanning that energy to all the directions. So that's how I would like to begin with you, is to begin by calling in the East. We're entering into ceremony together. While this is a broadcast, for me, it's always a ceremony. I live my life in ceremony. So we're calling in the East. In the East is the rising sun. And this is the place where we pray for new beginnings, for the light, for the dawning day, trusting the sun to rise into the sky. It's one of the few things, even on a cloudy day, that we can count on, that the sun, at least now, and for several billion years in the past and maybe in the future, that the sun will continue to shine and the light will come in the morning, and that this is a promise that each day is a new beginning. And then we call in the power and the energy of the South. And the South is more like the noonday sun. It's when things really heat up. No more chilly mornings or cool mornings. The sun is pouring down upon us. There is the fires of transformation. And this is the place in our lives where, in many ways, we're tested. Can we stand in the fire of love and wisdom and transformation, even when everything around us is in chaos, perhaps in the outer world, or maybe even in our own families, or in our relationships, or something personal with our own health, or all kinds of things that happen to just regular human beings, which is all of us at some level. So we call in the South and say, oh, Creator, Great Mystery, please help me. Help me to stand in the fires of transformation. Help me to understand that I'm not being punished. I may not have done anything wrong. But when the fire comes, that it's burning away an old reality. And that is not easy. So we ask and we pray for the courage to stay the course, to stand in the fires of transformation, to feel our feelings, but to stay the course and keep on moving through, if you will, that shamanic birth canal. And then we call in the energies from the West. I'll relight this smudge a little bit here. I don't want to set off the fire alarms in my house, so I try not to burn too much. So we go to the West, and in the West, we go to the place where we begin to meet our shadows, where we go into the darkness. The sun is setting. Things are ending. It's a good day to die. It's a good day to allow things that no longer serve us, things we've outgrown, perhaps even addictions that we haven't even known about. We're realizing that we're overly attached to things. We call in the courage to change the things we can. We go into the bear's cave, if you will. And from that place, we dissolve. We meditate, we pray, we weep for what has been. Perhaps some things we're ready to let go of because it's been hurtful. Perhaps we weep because it's something we're going to miss. Maybe it's someone we love that's no longer in our lives for one reason or another. It's also the refreshing place because when we can let go, when we can go through those shamanic deaths and rebirths, we grow stronger on that spiral wheel of transformation. And we really can't move onward until we can let go and renew in those baptismal waters. We welcome the West. And then we go to the North. And in the North, we recognize the energy of the white hairs, the gray hairs. We recognize the elders. In the background here, you can see the wolf on my wall. And I'm part of the wolf tribe. I walk the path of the wolf, which is a teacher, a planetary server. And in the place of that energy of what's called the white hairs, which could be the white buffalo, the white wolf, the white owl, the white lions, the elders with their white hair. This is the place of saying, I've lived a certain amount of time. And you don't have to be old to be wise. Children are very wise. They just speak the truth before they know it, or what they know of the truth anyway. But there is a certain amount of wisdom that one acquires. It's just the facts. That if you put in the time, you will learn and you will grow. And some will grow faster than others, depending on their path and their choices to surrender to change, because change is the teacher, always. It's the biggest teacher I know of, at least in my life. So those who've lived a long time have had the opportunity to go through lots of years of birth and death and rebirth on this spiral path. And hopefully, instead of becoming depressed or dismayed or despaired, although those are valid feelings and appropriate responses at times, to not get stuck there and to take whatever, as the old saying goes, that which has not killed us can only make us stronger. And sometimes we learn from pain, and sometimes we don't, and we have to repeat it over and over again. That's why I became an addictions counselor many years ago, because I had to overcome my own addictions, and then I wanted to help other people overcome theirs as well. So in that place of the North, we're calling in the wisdom teachers. We're calling in those who've gone before. One of the biggest things they share with us is their mistakes. That means their missteps along the way. They made a mistake. They stepped maybe incorrectly. And yet, can it really be incorrect if we then turn it into medicine and we turn it into what we can now share with our children, our grandchildren, our friends, our neighbors, our students, whatever role you have in the world, that you can share your experience and your strength and your hope. And the hope is that other people will not have to make the same mistakes. And if they do, they know that there's a way through. And so we call in the energies of the North and the wisdom keepers. We also call in the great above. And I really love calling in the great above energy. I've always been a lover of stars. and planets and the moon. I've always, at some level, I think, loved nighttime the best. And I have many magical memories of looking up at beautiful, bright blue skies from the country where I grew up in the United States, in Kentucky, and the bright, beautiful stars in that sky that was over the farm where I grew up on. My grandparents and my parents just down the road. And we would frequently look up at the night sky, and my grandmother would say, "Go ahead, offer a prayer or poem or a song to the sky people. They're watching over you." And because she taught me that as a child, I never doubted it, that it was false, and I still don't. And later on, years later, when I studied with teachers and shamanic teachers all around the world, and especially Grandmother Twyla of the Wolf Clan, the Seneca Wolf Clan Nation, and they talked to me about the star beings. In fact, Grandmother Twyla, Seneca Wolf Clan grandmother, is the one who gave me my name, Star Wolf. And she said that I was a wolf energy from the stars, and that I should call upon the power of the stars and the light that shines in the darkness, and that I myself, over time, would grow to be a light in a time of darkness. And that's the origin of my name, Star Wolf. She who comes from the stars and walks the path as a teacher, and also is always a student too. If you're a teacher, you're always a student as well. So I call in the energies from the great above, and they will help us and guide us through the darkest night. And then we go down, 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 deep into Pachamama, down into the belly of the Great Mother Goddess, and also the Great Father, if you will, the Green Man, Dionysus, Geb, all the energies of the Gaia energy. It's going down into those beings, those archetypes, those energies that have been turning this world around for countless ages, countless eons. We can't really be sure. Science can tell us some things, and then they find new science and new science and new science. And this is the oldest this, and this is the oldest that, and then they find something else because we go deeper. It's kind of like science keeps going deeper and human beings keep going deeper to find out more about our origins. So down in the core of this earth remains the wisdom. Think about it for a moment. We want to welcome everything that's already happened here on this earth. The birth of this planet, when it was hurling through the universe, when it finally found its orbit. And I don't know about you, but sometimes that's how I feel about myself. I feel like, when am I going to land and find my orbit in a new situation? And now this planet has been orbiting in a certain way with this incredible balance between the sun and the moon. You can't make that up. It's no accident. There's some sort of incredible magic, if you want to call it science, doesn't matter what label you put on it. There's some sort of divine order that brought together the perfect balance of night and day, of evening and morning, of sunset and sunrise, and the seasons. It's all by divine order. And the elemental world that we live in, who knows, maybe all the other planets have different kinds of elements we don't even know about, or none at all. But here on this planet, on beautiful Gaia, we have been given this beautiful place, this Garden of Eden, if you will, to live here and to live in, not imbalanced, but to live in balance with the elemental world. So the Creator did something really incredible. It placed our feet upon this earth, and it said, learn from your mama, Learn from the elementals of this world. Learn and replenish yourself and feed yourself and clothe yourself and clothe yourself and build places of shelters for yourself and learn languages and learn to build telescopes to see beyond your own existence and your own galaxies. These are the things that you can do when you embrace the elemental world of water and fire and earth and air and the great spirit, the divinity that animates every living thing, whether it's a rock or a tree, a creature or a human, or the great waters, the mighty waters and forest. So here we are, standing now upon this earth and drawing up from the belly of the earth and thanking her. Thank you so much, Pachamama. Thank you for teaching us, and thank you for helping us to remember to walk in balance with you. And last but not least, we come to 3 more elements. If you were here with me in person on my land and at my retreat center, we would walk over to a magnificent medicine wheel and call these in together. So maybe one of the days I'll broadcast from there and you can see that beautiful medicine wheel, and I'll speak more about that later. But we're creating our own right here, our own virtual medicine wheel as we call in these directions. And so we call in the great above. We call in the great star nations. We call in the heavenly host. We call in the archetypes and the invisible ones throughout all dimensions, space, and time. And we say, help. We human beings need your help. With some of the native peoples I've been with, sometimes the prayers, I didn't understand it when I was younger. They'd say, oh, great mystery, great father, great mother, please help me. I'm a poor, pitiful, sorrowful human being. Now I think I kind of understand. At that time I thought, wow, what's that mean? But now I understand it was just a way of saying, we understand that there's forces that are so much greater and bigger than human beings. And that human beings are very sacred. We have a sacred place just like everything else. But there's things greater than us and beyond us and the great above. And that's just a metaphor, really, because in space there really is not an above. We're really all in flux together. But in calling in the directions, we say, thank you, spirit keepers of the great above. Here we are on Pachamama. Here we are on Mother Earth, calling in our directions, the elemental beings of east and south and west and north. And now we call in the great above and we ask for your help, that our ancestors will come to us, those who've been here and who have left. Maybe their DNA is here, but we ask that their spirits will still come back and guide us in our prayers, our dreams, and they will come when we ask for help. So welcome, spirit keepers of the great above. And then we go down, really down, even more into the earth. Down, down, down to the core, the center of this earth. And they say that it's hot iron there. And the iron comes up through the rocks and throughout the geography of this earth. And it comes all the way up and it goes into the plants that that grow and that breathe so we can breathe, and it goes into the animals and the creatures and to all the food that we have that comes to us. And so it's literally the earth is feeding us from her own blood as the life blood that gives us existence. And we're so grateful for that wisdom and for her care, that somehow this being manages to give life somehow to everything that is alive here on this planet, and also to help us ground and remember that, and to remember to have some humility around that, and to say thank you for all that you're giving to us. Be respectful of that energy. And the last direction is your own great within. Human beings, stand here on this earth. We stand here like we're on medicine wheels with our feet on the ground, perhaps our arms to the heavens, or spread out in all the directions. And the last direction, the seventh direction, is the great within. The great within can be felt within our hearts, but it's not only located there. We ourselves are within the heart of great mystery. We are living, everything is living in the heart of the spirit of the universe, of the multiverse, however you see that. To me, the universe contains all the universes, all of creation and non-creation. And in that place, we are living in its heart. Think about it. We give creation, conscious creation as human beings to the things that we want to create. Sometimes we miscreate. We go into shadow and we find ourselves acting out in ways that we didn't intend to. It wasn't intentional. But when we create consciously from our God self, the way the Creator does, we too create with love and wisdom and consciousness. And that's a tall order sometimes with everything that's going on in the world or in our personal lives. And yet we must be in integrity, especially if we're going to support others on their path. We really can't just mouth the words, but not live it. So I want to encourage all of you as you stand here, as you sit here, as you do this ceremony with me and open up this Aquarian Shaman podcast with me, because you are the ones, you're the first ones here to be helping to open this with me. So I really ask you to open your heart really wide right now, really as far as you can. Don't hold back. There's no more time for holding back our love and wisdom and the guidance that we're getting from the great beyond, as well as the great within. So I invite you to take just a few seconds to go to the great within as I smudge one more time for the great within. And unless you're driving or doing something with mechanical things, I want to ask you to sit down and close your eyes if you haven't during this meditation, during this invocation and opening of this circle. To take a moment to close your eyes and to just breathe. Even if you have children running around the house or the dog is barking or somebody's knocking on the door, take a moment to turn off the noise. Turn off everything that's noisy in your brain and go into your great within in your heart. Because this is the place, my brothers, my sisters, my friends, my soulmates. This is probably the only place that we're going to find the truth, is to do whatever work we need to do to clean out our psyches and to empty out the closets of our shadows and to drop into our hearts big time right now. It's not being sentimental. It's not being overly idealistic. It's not being in spiritual bypass. Believe me, I do not live in spiritual bypass. Some people might think that with the name Aquarian Shaman, but that is about the farthest from the truth you could get to with me. I'm very grounded. I have many things that I'll share with you over our time together about my life, about the creations, about the transformations I've been through, and wanting to hear more from you as well. But what I say to you is that for a long time now, in fact, solidly will be March 21st of this year, 2025, is the anniversary of my 43rd sobriety birth date. So at the age of 29, I discovered that and I had to go into my heart to discover this. I had to go down to my knees and in my heart to discover that I had some addictions that were destroying me and I didn't even know it. So by the grace of great mystery, from that time till now, almost 43 years now, from that time until now, I have walked a path of planetary service and a commitment to my own sobriety and sanity. I've had plenty of insanity in my life when I was younger, and I believe that's a big part of what actually helps make a shaman. In many, many traditions, you have to have died at least once and been resuscitated. I've had that happen twice, struck by lightning once, and overdosed with drugs once when I was younger. And a couple of other semi-near deaths with some accidents and some illnesses in the past, a long time ago. But not only those kinds of things, there has to be a renewal where you come back and you see the purpose of it all. And you listen to your heart. Like I said, not just sentimentality, but you listen to your heart. This is the crux. This is the core of the Aquarian Shaman. And you say, I surrender. What's my purpose? What's my sacred purpose? I know I'm not here by accident, so I must be on purpose. So I want to welcome you to your great within, taking that moment to listen to your within. Feel it. Even if you can't quite hear it, feel that it's wanting to speak to you and let you know who you really are. So take a deep breath. Listen. And exhale. Welcome to the great within, within, within. And now, my friends, my shamanic friends, my Aquarian friends, we have set the container for the Aquarian Shaman here on the Transformation Network. This opening of this medicine wheel around you, where you are. And here you are in my medicine room. Okay. It's a kind of a wild place. It has so many memories of so many years and so many medicine pieces that have come to me over the years. It is the greatest pleasure and my greatest desire to share my medicine with you, to share my experience, my strength, my hope, but beyond hope. Okay. Sometimes Grandmother Twilight laughs, and I don't like hope sometimes because hope has a hole in it. I don't want anything to leak out. She had a great sense of humor. But this medicine room holds thousands upon thousands of memories of sessions and ceremonies and travels and readings and what I've dedicated my life to. I'm a long time teacher. I started working in the mental health center when I was 20 years old. I was getting a degree in social work when I was at the University of Kentucky as a baby boomer, in the glorious 60s and 70s, as they say. We thought it was the age of Aquarius then. Not quite yet. However, all of that was mixed with so much light and dark, just like what's going on the planet right this moment. And of course, we know that different cycles happen on our planet and across the universe, the multiverse, and that there's always stuff going down. There's always birth, life, and then death, and then rebirth happening all the time throughout the cosmos. Perhaps it looks different in different, like I said, multiverses or dimensions or other planets, those kinds of things. But ultimately, it seems that the Creator has an incredible imagination, and we're part of it. And we seek it. We seek to know the great mystery. And again, grandmother, what is the great mystery? Well, if you knew that, it wouldn't be the great mystery. So we're meant to be kept in suspense. We're meant to walk between the light and dark, to look into the darkness and to create the light from it. And the shamanic world, as I said before, is frequently people who have challenges, whether it's addictions, whether it's an illness, another illness of some kind, whether it's a death of someone close to you, all kinds of things. And, you know, we can't really escape being human. We're here to be human. But we also are here, I believe, to become something else. We're born human, but the transformation, like all the major religions in the world teach, that we are born to awaken to our spiritual self. And whatever way you look at that, whatever kinds of religions or religious studies that you've been part of in your life. I grew up as a Baptist originally, but I also grew up with a grandmother who taught me to talk to the aliens and the fairies. And so I didn't figure that Jesus had any problem with aliens or spirit guides or any of those kinds of things, or fairies, you know. And so my grandmother, her family came from the old country, if you will. And so there was no division, there was no separation between the earth and the sky and the great mystery. And I really believe that in some ways, in order to move forward, we've almost needed to move backwards. We've needed to go back and to gather that wisdom and to remember that all the so-called fundamental religions throughout the world, they all have their origins in shamanism, all of them. There's nothing more shamanic than a being who is a son from the divine father of the universe, if you will, who comes to this earth and who dies, okay, and sheds blood for others. Sounds like a Sundance to me at some level. Who dies, who is then resurrected, who then comes back to life. Everything about shamanism is about birth and life and then death and then rebirth. It's only when we don't own the rebirth and come full circle around the medicine wheel that we truly die the death, the true death, as they call it. But we can even drop our skins, our bodies, and no longer be in as a fleshly human being. And we still have life somehow, some way. You cannot, you might get rid of physical bodies, but you cannot get rid of energy. Energy just transforms into something else. So in the Aquarian, if you will, Aquarian shaman energy, we are beginning to remember that we are more than who we've been taught that we are. We're not just poor, pitiful sinners. We are so much more. We are truly the children of the gods. However you see that, whatever religions or non-religions, we are the children of the universe. And I make the joke over and over again that God got us all that is tired of us being children. Was grateful we're children, loves us as children, will always be their children, and yet they're ready for us to grow up. And what would that look like for you? What would it look like for me? When I started thinking about this and feeling into this decades ago, and I really came back around to the Aquarian Shaman and what does that mean? What does it mean to be Aquarius? What does it mean to peace, love, harmony, and understanding? What would that look like if we could create that? I realized that it's just like everything else. It begins where? It begins right here. There's a song that we have that we play at our workshops sometimes. It says, I want to be, I want to be like Gandhi someday and create peace, just like Gandhi, just like Gandhi. And so we can't wait around for more Gandhis. That's the main message, I think, of the Aquarian era, is that it's tag, you're it, I'm it, we're it. And so in addition to whatever things we're doing, you might say, I don't have time to be spiritual. I don't have time to. I don't think we have time not to. I'm hoping that you'll be joining me every other week for this hour together where we can explore the mysteries together, where we can awaken our Aquarian nature, where we really can smile upon our brother, our sisters and our brothers, and those who identify with both, that we truly can find our way back to being humane beings, or maybe forward. Maybe it's forward. I don't know. But becoming humane beings is going to require us not to just wish it away, not to just pray it away. Those are beautiful things, wishes and prayers, but to do the inner work to transform ourselves. Over the past almost 4 decades, I've been working to create conscious change, not only with myself every day, but in the world. Part of how I've done that is I created an organization called Venus Rising Association for Transformation. Over the years, over many years now, we have ordained shamanic ministers around the world. We have supported some people in becoming extensions. It's called Congregations of Venus Rising. We've also started satellite programs for people who want to be able and authorized to teach certain specific teachings and things and methods that we've created. And we also created a Venus Rising University, which is recognized in the state of North Carolina as a religious university. So we've been busy. I've also, if you haven't read about anything about me, I've also created and either authored or co-authored 13 books now. I'm working on a couple of more. So we've been busy. We also moved here from Marin County, California. Even though I grew up in Kentucky, I ended up out in California for several years and taught out there, taught at Esalen Institute. I've taught in different places all around the United States and out of the country. But we wanted to land someplace, and so we came here to Western North Carolina outside of Asheville, about an hour outside of Asheville. And we were able to acquire a beautiful piece of mountaintop property, and we become stewards of this land, of these elemental temples. I'm going to save the story of the elemental temples to tell you at another time, because that's a really juicy story you're going to enjoy. And I'm also going to tell you at another time how you can join me here and our other teachers and things at different times for our trainings and transformation programs, or even just to come and be here for your own healing, as well as our certification and training and our university. But just know those, just kind of footnote that those things are things that I'll share with you. And you're always welcome to go to my website, which is shamanicbreathwork.org. I'll just go ahead and say that now because I'll probably forget at the end. But shamanicbreathwork.org. And on there, it's an extensive website because I've been doing this work for a long time. And we have created so many things for people to be able to have experiences. We have a place where you can go in on there to experience shamanic breath work yourself in the comfort of your own home, as well as a listing of different places where you can find shamanic breath work teachers around the world, or whether you can come here actually to be with me and my team here on the mountain. So those are things that you can look up. I'll also go ahead and tell you that we have our 2-week intensive that happens for 4 hours a day, 2 weeks, 4 hours a day, intensive. If you're up for it, if you're ready, Aquarian Shamans, that we have that, and that takes place, when does that take place? On February 17th through March 2nd. So if you're really ready to dive in and to really awaken that Aquarian Shaman within yourself and do some inner work, to be with me every day as I'm teaching, and to be with other staff that's teaching as well, to experience 6 major breathwork journeys and experiences, to be in process groups, to go through the 30 shamanic questions. Whoa, that's accelerated program, but you do have to commit and show up every day for those 4 hours. It's actually in the evening that it takes place. And if you want to know more about that, you can go on and find it on shamanicbreathwork.org. If you complete that program, you actually can then apply to be a shamanic minister. And a lot of people, I have many people, quite frankly, who've been therapists and counselors and psychologists and all kinds of things who've come through the programs and then decided that's how they wanted to operate in the world. They no longer really even wanted to have their license. They let their license expire or they don't really use it because they wanted to really work with people in a more hands-on. And with shamanic breathwork, you can do different kinds of hands-on work with people. And of course, you're not supposed to do that in some of those other professions. So we're very careful about ethics with people and those kinds of things. So if you want to know more about that, you can find out about that on shamanicbreathwork.org. And there's lots of other pieces of information and things and gifts on there for you in addition to shamanic breathwork. So I wanted to say that now because I doubt very seriously I remembered at the end, to be honest with you. So I first started thinking about being this Aquarian being all those years ago when I was just a teenager. And of course, I had a very idealized vision of it at that time. And I was a seeker in addition to going to the University of Kentucky. And then I ended up at St. Leo College in Florida and working with it was called CMI, chronic mentally ill. I think there's probably a different name for it now, but that's what it was at the time. Working in a day treatment program, working with addictions, discovering my own addictions, coming into recovery myself, going into some treatment for myself, all those kinds of things, leading me onward to finding the things that were going to help me. And I want to share with you here now because this hour goes by so quick, okay? For me, at least it does. I'm used to teaching for hours and hours and hours. So this is really me just sharing with you in a more personal way. But I'll be sharing, in addition to that, I'll be sharing more practices and things as we go along. And not only that, you're going to have the opportunity to meet some incredible Aquarian shamans around the world. Yesterday, I was just talking to my friend, Itzhak Berry. If you know about shamanism, you have to know about Itzhak. He is a shaker and a mover, and I think he's just a couple of years older than me, I think. But anyway, powerful man and with a shamanic organization around that just touches people all around the world. And I said, Itzhak, would you like to come on to the program? I'd be delighted, and he's sought after from around the world. I'm going to bring you the top-notch shamans in the world and medicine people. I promise you with that. I'll be bringing on Vera Lopez, who's taken people to Peru since she was just a young girl and was sleeping on the railroad tracks because there were no hotels, the fancy hotels that are now there. I believe she told me that she made close to 40 or 50, I believe she said 50 trips there. She was there before people started even going there, before they put up the fences around Machu Picchu. There's other teachers, there's just so many. I'm not going to go into all of them, but that's the kind of caliber that I'm talking about, is people who are not just popping up and calling themselves shamans or healers, but who honestly have dedicated at least 20 years and frequently 30 or 40 or even more. And these are people who have heard the calling a long time ago and who've gone out and learned from the teachers that mostly aren't here anymore. And they've received the lineages of this work and they're now carrying it forward. When Itzhak and I were talking yesterday, we were just going to talk for about 15 minutes. We talked, I think, for almost 2 hours, and we kept talking about the medicine and the lineage and how important it is to pass it on. That as we move into this Aquarian age, people must bring this wisdom with them and integrate it with the new dispensations that are coming through. A marriage of the old wisdom that has preserved the teachings on this planet for so long, and the healing and the medicine. Especially we need it now. I can hear about the elders that I worked with saying that you are going to, I was just green behind the ears, and they were saying, Starwolf, you're going to be one of the people that's sharing this medicine. And I'm just thinking, like, me, I'm just like trying to learn and heal, and they're like, well, you're always going to do that. You're always going to learn and heal. But the time is going to come when it's so important for you to pass this on. So that's what I'm dedicated to every single day of my life, whether I meet somebody in the grocery store whether I'm on a podcast, whether we're doing a 2-week online. We also do 2-week-longs in person here on the mountain and also in Teotihuacan. We have this year coming up 2 weeks in Egypt at the temples teaching. So it's what I do 24/7. Finally, some of my friends will say sometimes, turn it off, Star Wolf. And I'm like, I'll try. But I'm more excited about being alive, being a teacher, sharing this medicine than I ever have been. And I feel like that maybe the world is catching up. The world is catching up with what I committed myself to 43 years ago. To walk in sobriety and to walk as a planetary server for the rest of the world, for the rest of my life. Not because I'm just a do-gooder, but because it makes me happy, because it brings me happiness and joy. It brings me my dharma and my purpose. And hopefully, my storytelling, my journey, my introducing you to these amazing people you're going to meet, hopefully it's going to inspire you to waken up that part of yourself that is a planetary server. So being this Aquarian energy in your own life, what would that look like for you? I really want to encourage you to start dropping into that with me each time we're together. And to the teachers, the amazing teachers that we're going to have on that have agreed to be on here. Heather Ashamar is another one that pops into my mind. There's just so many that I've talked to, and they're all like, oh, I can't wait to be on this platform with you, Star Wolf, because they're my friends, and they know that we're going to have a good time, and they know we're going to have a great audience, and they're like, this is exactly what's been needed out there. Somebody to interview us that is one of us. So, and I love doing interviews. I do interviews all the time with other people, but here I can just kind of speak about what's real for me, and I can also bring these incredible people. I work with divination a lot, and one of the things that I do is I do a lot of storytelling. So I pulled a card today right before we started. I don't know if you can see that. And for this particular card, this medicine card, is called Storyteller Expansion. And I thought, how perfect. Because sometimes I think like, oh, do people really want to hear these stories? Do they, and then afterwards I can't tell you, wherever I go, people come up and say, thank you, Star Wolf, for these stories. It gives me such hope. It gives me inspiration, and I'd love to share my story with you. And I love to hear people's stories as well. That's why I've been a counselor for so long and a teacher. So today I knew that I needed to be my storyteller self and to tell you the story of my life some, and the story of some of my teachers. And I've just barely touched the surface. You have no idea. It's just barely the surface. Then the other card I pulled was from a deck of cards that I co-created with my dear, dear sister, Nikki Scully, who took people to Egypt. I think she said she took 61 or 62 trips there over a period of 30 years. And my first trip to Egypt was with Nikki, and what an incredible time that was. Many years ago, we took 50 people, and this is before people were taking people. Very few people had taken people at that time. So it was, we were really pioneering going there, and I've been taking people since then. And Nikki and I created 2 books together. We created The Shamanic Mysteries of Egypt, and we created the Anubis Oracle deck. So I pulled a card from our deck today, and it's called Sacred Purpose. I kid you not. Storytelling and sacred purpose. And this particular card shows, and I don't have time to go into great detail, but I will one day. I'll talk more about the Anubis Oracle deck. Ptah, Nut, Geb, and Anubis. Basically, they're all in their sacred purpose. Each one is representing something that they're in their sacred purpose. And in the very center of the card stands the beautiful, if you will, Wolf of Egypt, Anubis, the shaman, standing in the center, following his path as an Aquarian shaman and being guided by the great above, great below, and all the directions and all the elemental worlds. So I knew that, first of all, I needed to be my storyteller self today. And second of all, to be fully in what I feel is my sacred purpose. And for me, that is to pass on my journey and to encourage you on yours, and to set the stage by creating the medicine wheel here and calling in the directions that are going to hold us in the days, weeks, months, especially now to come. So if you will, I want to show you one person before we get ready to sign off here. This is my Wolf Clan grandmother, Grandmother Twyla Netch, Seneca Wolf Clan grandmother, and that little girl sitting there with her head in the lap is me many, many years ago. And Grandma is patting me on the head, and we're at a big, big powwow with all kinds of people from many different tribes and nations out in California, and she's saying to me, my precious wolf, my precious star wolf. Grandma passed when she was 94 to the other side, but boy, is she active in my dreams, and when I call her, she always comes. And if I can be that for some of you now, if I can be a person who can inspire you, encourage you, maybe I can't lessen your burden, but I can sure as heck help you get through it to the other side as a spiritual shamanic midwife. And that is my deepest desire, is to pass on my medicine and to pass on my lineage. That's why, instead of just doing interviews and writing books and doing workshops, that I've agreed to do this podcast. I do feel that it's time on the planet for this, but I also believe that it's time for me to pass my medicine to more people. And that's why I'm here. So I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank Transformation Talk Radio and all the people who have supported us and coached us a little bit about what we're doing. And I can't wait to bring in these wonderful people that you're going to meet. You're going to enjoy it so much. We're going to have such lively conversations. I have a wicked sense of humor. I have a heart of gold, but a wicked sense of humor. I'm a visionary channel, and I'm a little girl from Western Kentucky, barefoot with her grandmother, praying to the aliens, praying to the angels, to Jesus, to Great Spirit, to the Goddess, and to love and wisdom. So I hope you'll walk with me on this path, explore it, and see if it calls to you in some way. And perhaps, just perhaps, you'll start to remember that you too are an Aquarian shaman, that you too, no matter how far down you've gone, are on your way back up on that spiral path to remembering who you are and to bringing your sacred medicine as an Aquarian shaman to this world. So blessings. We close our ceremony together, but the medicine and the magic continues wherever you are. Take a deep breath. Exhale fully. And please, please feel free to get in touch with me. You can email me at starwolf@shamanicbreathwork.org as well. And sometimes it takes a little while to get back to you, but I always promise that I will do my best to get back or have someone get back with you to answer your questions. We're here to serve. We're here to walk the Aquarian path. So blessings, everyone. Until we meet again, take good care of yourselves. The world is wild right now. Meet it with your heart and your consciousness. And stay connected to one another. Keep seeking the truth. and call upon those who love you in the unseen world, as well as the people in your everyday life. Aho. This is Star Wolf, and you've been listening to the Experiential Aquarian Shaman broadcast. Transform yourself, transform the world. Join me every second and fourth Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio to awaken your inner Aquarian Shaman. Never miss an episode. Subscribe to my channel and connect with me on social media at Linda Star Wolf. For more information about my offerings and trainings, visit shamanicbreathwork.org. Thank you for taking this special time to journey with me.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the station, its management, or advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.